All right, guys, this is part two of our previous episode of Grown Men Talking Baseball Cards. In part two, we start off with a random five, and then we finish off the episode with a few tips for some of the new people that are coming back into the hobby. So, check it out, guys. Hope you enjoy. Catch you later. Because normally when we do the random five, like I'll have already prepared my list, right?
Yeah.
But this one just kind of popped into my head like right before we started, so I didn't have time to prepare my own list. So I'll be kind of like shooting from the hip, just like you are. So, and this kind of fits into a little bit of what we talked about here with with the cards, like how much everything has grown over the last couple of years. So it got me thinking, like, who are the top five young players? And we're just going to go in, baseball, basketball, football. Who are the five most important young players to sustaining this level of growth in the hobby that we're seeing right now? Like
What are you calling a young player? Like, kind of give me like an age range, because different sports they range differently.
We could just say 30 or below. And
Okay.
the kind of player, like what I'm talking about is like, these are the kind of players that it would be pretty detrimental to the hobby if they fail.
So by that criteria, I'm going to say like guys like Mike Trout are out because he hasn't failed. He's already been good.
Trout, he can't fail at this point.
Right, exactly. I mean, the only thing that makes him fail if something happened, he got caught with steroids or something. So if I'm naming top five guy, I think Patrick Mahomes. Clearly, I think he's the next great quarterback to carry that mantle. I don't know if there's another one in football up and coming right now that kind of rivals him. Maybe Lamar Jackson, maybe, but I'm not going to put him in my five. Ronald Acuna for sure in baseball, and Juan Soto. I think Juan Soto and Ronald Acuna, their careers should always be tied together as long as they're playing at elite level. You may disagree on that, but I think that they're so intertwined just because of their age, and when they came up at the same time, their rookie cards kind of overlap. I think those two guys for sure, definitely. And then I mean Giannis. I mean I think Giannis. I put him there for sure in basketball, and then Zion. That'd probably be my top five.
I was hoping there would be more on your list that I would disagree with, but really the only one that I don't disagree with this one, but I would go with Patrick Mahomes in football for the reasons you mentioned. Like, I think there's a lot of people that have been in the hobby for a long time and are newer to the hobby, have a lot of money tied up in Patrick Mahomes. So I think it would be huge if he failed, which I don't think he will. And I don't really think any of these – I mean, like, these are not guys that I think will fail, but I think it would affect the hobby a lot if they did. So Mahomes in football, he's the only guy in football, I'm saying.
Me too. Yeah.
Acuna and Soto in baseball, like you mentioned. And then in basketball, Zion, I think to me, it's huge with Zion. And then I would replace Giannis with Luka, just because Giannis, I think he's already got the MVP from last year. He's on track to win this one this year. Is pretty easy. So I think he's okay. And I think all these guys are okay, but I'm just saying, like, I think a lot of people have a lot of money tied up in some of these young guys, and that's just kind of what got me thinking about it. Like, because you see all the optic and prism stuff this year in basketball, like how you can't find it anywhere like retail.
No.
And it's because of, guys like Zion, John Morant. And then, last year to a lesser extent, we saw it with Luka and Trey, but you could still find this stuff. So
I agree. So, it's hard to believe that football essentially is the biggest market in the U.S. Globally, it's basketball, but it's hard to believe that we only have one football player on there. But, I think, it's kind of tough because you only got – I think there's only one elite young quarterback. I think it's Patrick Mahomes at that level. Lamar Jackson, if Lamar Jackson plays like he did this year, if he just continues doing that for 6-8 years. I mean, my God. I mean, he was pretty impressive.
Yeah, and I think out of the 5 players that both of us mentioned, I think the one that is like if I had to rank them as far as like who is the most likely to fail, I would say it's probably Zion Williamson.
Injuries.
And then and you're exactly right. That's the reason why. It has nothing to do with his abilities, but injuries.
Sure.
And I would also rank him number 1 on that list as far as which person failing would be the most detrimental to the hobby.
I can agree to that. And I can also say if he doesn't fail, if he stays healthy, I mean, the market's going to be good for his career. I mean, just because we needed another, we needed the guy to take the mantle from LeBron a little bit. As LeBron's 35, I think, almost 36, if I remember right. We need somebody to kind of take that mantle. Giannis, I think, not being from the U.S. and having a little bit of language barrier, and I think that kind of keeps his marketability, maybe just keeps it in check a little bit. But Zion there's no limit. There's really no limit. We've already seen how big it can be, and so I agree with you. If he suffered a ACL tear where he had to miss a full season, I mean, it would be crushing to the market for a while, and as far as basketball goes, and just the hard market in general.
And these are, like I said, these are just things that I think about, not necessarily that I think will happen, or I'm not predicting any of this to happen, but these are things that pop into my head when I see, people that are getting back into the hobby, putting just so much money into some of these, first and second year guys.
I agree. And we talked about the other day is I struggle with seeing, I don't mind people putting their money in design. It's kind of the ultimate big risk, big reward guy, because there is superstar potential. There's no doubt superstar potential. Yeah. It's the guys who don't have, we talked about yesterday, there's guys who don't have superstar potential that are selling like guys who are already in the Hall of Fame. You know what I mean? That's a struggle for me. And I always call it unsafe money. To me, it's just unsafe. What do you hope that this guy's going to happen? He's going to go out and average 15 points a game and 5 rebounds. If that happens and you have a lot of money, you're going to lose money.
Right.
Because nobody gives a crap about a guy that scores 15 and has 5 rebounds. I mean, it's just unfortunate. They're good players, and it's okay to collect them, but you need to pay what they're worth, not what you might think they might be a superstar someday.
And that's the trend that in the hobby that I've definitely noticed a lot more in the last several years is what they could potentially become at their peak. It's already baked into the price from the beginning. So
there's no doubt. There's no doubt about it.
With a lot of those guys, there's nowhere to go but down.
I was trying to think some of these guys that over the last few years, what they, kind of what they sell for. And I just can't go put my money into some of these guys because, except for the ones that look like superstars and I'm not really believing in, but that's what people don't understand. There's very few of those guys in the league. I mean, take a look at some of the best players in the league right now. And some of these guys, prices haven't changed in forever, and they're the best guys already. I mean, guys like Damian Lillard, who else? Paul George, some of these guys that are Anthony Davis. I mean, his stuff obviously going to Lakers help, but he's not like a huge spike guy for the most part. His top tier cards, of course, but some of these guys, they just don't move that much. James Harden, what has his stuff done over the years? He's one of the best scorers he is the best scorer of the last 10 years of the last decade. And
I think that, we've both been collecting long enough that because we've seen this over and over again, like the new rookie class comes out in the NBA or NFL or MLB, whatever. And a lot of these guys that are, hyped up in the beginning to be like, the next great superstar, they become role players at best in a lot of cases. Some of them.
Or they're just solid starters.
Or some of them don't even, like in baseball, especially, some of them never even make it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, baseball's the biggest. Obviously, that's the biggest gamble, of course. Football, if it's not a quarterback, after a couple years, nobody gives a crap. I mean,
Yeah.
I like I'll buy defensive players if it's a low number card. I'm not paying anything for it.
Right.
Like I was just on the other day looking at Nick Bosa, at some of like his silver prisms and some of his stuff. I mean, you can pick him up for $10, $15. I mean, he's pretty awesome. Number 1 overall pick in the draft last year. That's probably what they're always going to be, and that's okay. That's okay. The market's not there. But then you take maybe the 5th quarterback taken in the draft. At the beginning, the same card sells for over 100, and that guy is he might make it, but he's probably going to be garbage.
Yeah.
I mean, chances are at the absolute best case scenario, he's a guy who he's just running a system and not turning it over. But he's not Patrick Mahomes. He's not Lamar Jackson. He's not one of these guys, because there's very few of those guys in the league.
And that's what, going back to the list that we just kind of broke down. I mean, everybody on that list is like super elite players.
Elite.
Like
Juan Soto is what, he just turned 20, I think. I think he'll play this whole year. I think he turns 21 during the season, if I remember right. He was elite from day one, patient, everything you want in a good baseball player, an elite baseball player. And even him, he does concern me a little bit, because I don't know if we'll ever see like the crazy big season out of him, but he's going to probably for the next 12 years, he's probably going to hit 30 to 40 home runs. He's probably going to drive in 100 runs. He's probably going to bat 300. Like the model of consistency.
Yeah.
Ronald Acuna on the flip side, he's going to have, if you take him over a 10-year span, he's probably going to have at least 5 just monster seasons where steals bases, does everything, So they're a little bit different. One's a very consistent player, and then one's going to have he's going to have some up and downs a little bit. I think Acuna will more than Soto.
Yeah, and obviously I'm a person who's put some money in Acuna, but I mean he's by no stretch like as safe as like these guys on the list that we looked at earlier.
No. He's not. I feel pretty confident with Acuna, though. I think the Braves do a pretty good job of handling their young players. He's at a position where he can make dynamic defensive plays that kind of keeps him in the spotlight, even if he wasn't hitting. He runs. He's got power. He's good at everything. I don't have much concern with him. I have a little bit more concern with Soto hobby-wise, not real baseball, hobby-wise.
Yeah.
Just because, consistent isn't always sexy in the hobby, right?
Right.
But to me, long-term and looking at somebody that you look at not just caring about one season to the next, he's a guy I absolutely love to invest in for sure.
Yeah.
But I think, to me, like, and I've told you this recently, and I don't mind some of the Bowman Chrome and some of the Topps products recently, but I have a tough time investing much in Panini. Just the MSRPs are so low on some of their products, but for some reason the prices are just crazy. I mean, box prices, and then, like I said, some of the guys that should be, take a silver prism of, a guy that I think is just okay, sells for $50 to $100, where I think it should probably be a $10 to $20 card. I mean, I have a tough time with that. That's why I'm taking my money. I'm not messing with that. I'm going back and putting it into something that I think one of the very few bargain buys right now in the hobby is, it's kind of where my money's going.
That's one of the things, we kind of talked about this the other day. Like, I think you'd asked me like what I was looking at as far as, any new purchases, and
right.
It's been tough, man. Like I've been struggling to find things that are, a decent price right now. Like as far as stuff that I want, like everything seems to be pretty high at the moment, especially the newer stuff. I mean, because I'm not one of those people. I'm not going to pay like above the suggested retail price for retail stuff that should be at Target and Walmart. Like I'm not buying that stuff on the secondary market.
No, absolutely not. And I feel the same way. I go out and I hit the streets hard trying to find Prism and optic retail, I've quit. I mean, I'm to the point I'm dejected by it just because of you can only walk in so many times and look at an empty aisle and it just gets frustrating. And so, like I told you the other day, I'm kind of stepping back a notch. I haven't collected really in 8 months cards. I've been buying comic books and some other things, but I've kind of stepped back a little bit now that I'm wanting to start buying again. And I just looked at it very, objectively across the board. And to me, the only stuff that I like that I thought was a bargain buy is 90s and early 2000s baseball. And that's where right now all my money's going, just because the prices are, way cheap. And I'm just getting low serial numbered stuff. I'm not really messing with anything. I'm only getting stuff that's numbered, under 100, really under 50 on most of it.
Do you feel funny as this kind of goes along with the title of our show, but do you feel funny as a grown man walking into a Target or Walmart, going straight to the baseball card section, taking a quick glance, not seeing what you want, and then just walking right out the store? Like, do you feel like people are looking at you?
I absolutely. It's Target doesn't bother me so bad because Target, the cards are in the back by the DVDs, and all that stuff, and so I'll kind of hide my grown man shame and I'll stop and look at some other things on the way. But Walmart's the worst because the Walmart right here by my house, I literally live 2 blocks from one. When you go in, I live in a high oil field area, as you know, and so they check everybody at the door, as far as receipts when people leave. And then that's one of the ones that has the doors that open and close that let you in. Like, what I'm talking about? The stall.
We have them here now.
So when I go in, I don't go through them. I walk down around and I go through the aisle the back way.
Yeah.
And I always feel like there's all these eyes on me because I do that, because I draw attention to myself. So I look down the aisle, and of course it's an aisle where there's usually a line going down the other way. So I got to squeeze by people to go look at the cards. I glance over, nothing's changed. I'm literally inside of Walmart under 30 seconds, top. I mean, that's a long trip to Walmart. So when I leave, when I'm walking from the cards back to leave the door, I've got a work phone and a personal phone. So I've always got my 2 phones with me, right? My wallet, my keys. I literally take them all out of my pockets and I carry them so that they don't see anything in my pockets, think I'm trying to walk by. And I walk right by the people, checking receipts, and there's people standing in line, and here I am cutting around leaving, But I do feel the embarrassment for sure.
There's probably people out there listening that they're familiar with the walk of shame.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think they're probably like, man, I'm not the only one, and what I do like, I like when my kids are with me because I'll act like we're looking at them for the kids.
Yeah.
I feel better about myself when this happens.
It gives you a little bit of cover,
cover. Yeah, that's exactly right. Take cover.
You're like, hey, we're just over here looking at the gaming cards for the kids.
Look at some gaming. Little Pokemon never hurt anybody, guys. Come on.
Yeah, we're just looking at the gaming cards for the kids, and then you're like, oh wait, here's a full setup of optic here. Let me grab all of it.
Let me grab the whole thing. And I don't know if you saw this. I don't remember the guy's name on Facebook in one of the groups that posted it, but did you see the Targets? I saw 1 or 2 pictures where they're starting to put little signs up, and it said optic mega boxes can be bought from the customer service desk, 1 per customer, and then the cellos were only allowed, I believe, 5 per customer, and that was it.
I mean, honestly, if it wasn't for eBay and Blowout, I wouldn't know what optic looks like this year.
It's true. Me too.
I mean,
actually, my good buddy, Mr. John Anderson, he's been all day today. I hope he watches this, but he's been texting me pictures of stuff he's been pulling. He had a buddy of his in Nebraska that bought, I don't know how much. It may have been a couple grand. I don't know, but I guess the only son of a gun in Nebraska that collects, he finds every bit of it, of course, And I don't know what else is in Nebraska other than corn and some optic, but
I know a couple people that collect in Nebraska, but they may not be looking for optic basketball.
They're probably not looking for optic because this guy got it all. But he shipped it to John, so John started busting some today and sent me a bunch of pictures and this and that. So, I'm not I don't badmouth anybody when they buy all of it like that, because if you don't do it, the next guy's going to do anyways. And
yeah, it doesn't do any good to get mad about it because
no,
man,
I mean, that's what I do when I find it. I buy it, you know, and I mean, the market's so strong right now. I literally, my thought process is I could care less about these cards really, like wanting to keep them. I want to grade them, flip them, whatever, and then I'll take that money and I'll move it into stuff I want to keep. I mean, it's that simple for me. It's not rocket science. If I don't do it, the next guy's going to. So I don't really get that upset. Now, I do enjoy busting some products, so I do want to bust them, but you know, it is
a lot of people that do that, and that's one of the things that I've talked to people about this, you know, quite a bit, as far as like, you know, basically flipping cards just to fund your other purchases that for stuff you want to keep. I mean,
absolutely, and you know, I've always looked at it like, I don't know if there's anything wrong with it. I don't know. You know, I've never really considered myself somebody that does flip. I don't with single cards really at all. I've never been in that market, do that a whole lot, but busting, grading, and selling, I do enjoy do that a little bit. I don't, you know, I may spend $1,500 a year on product to do that with. We're not talking crazy money, but I definitely do it a little bit.
Well, we've gotten to a point like in this hobby where, you know, like a lot of people think that if they disagree with what you do, they should have a right to tell you, you know, what you should do with your cards and your money. And at the end of the day, man, I mean, it's our money that we're spending. And, you know, if we want to buy a card and then sell it, I mean, it's our card. We can do whatever we want with it. So
absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And I always say this because I've always considered myself, you know, a purist. You know, that's what John Burleson, he used to call me the purist. And I kind of am. Look, as long as you're not doing anything that screws the card up by trimming, altering, or trying to deflect, you know, what the actual item is, or anything along those lines is shadiness, I don't care. I mean, when I was collecting Grant Hill, for example, do you know how many cards I bought from people that were flipping? If they hadn't been doing that, I wouldn't have been able to find those cards. We're talking very rare cards that don't come up for sale. Hey, you know what? I knew a lot of the guys that were in that market flipping. Guess who I was messaging on a regular basis? Yeah. I mean, I have no problem with it. I don't care. Take your cut. As long as it's market value, you didn't do anything to alter the card. I don't give a crap, you know? If I want the card, it's an easy way to get it. So none of that bothers me. Obviously, the trimming and stuff just infuriates me to no end. But on the flip side of that, when you're busting this new stuff like that, you don't have to worry about that. You're the only one that's ever touched it. You know, that's the good side of it.
And I mean, this hobby, it needs all different types of people. I mean, it wouldn't be any fun if we were all the same and we were all alike.
Can you imagine if every person was flipping?
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't work because, I mean, not everybody could make money off of the same cards.
Right, and that's the problem. That's what I was telling you the other day, and that's my biggest fear right now in the market is, from a mathematical sense, I don't know if everything can keep sustaining the way it's going, because a lot of people are flipping. A lot of new money's coming in. People have no clue what they're doing. And my gut tells me that whoever gets caught with some of these cards last, they are going to be screwed. I mean, really, at the end of the day, because let's just say it's a Luka Doncic Silver Prism PSA 10, and you know, it started off at 400 and it goes to 600 and then makes it all the way up to 1800. What if he hurts his knee? What if the market just all of a sudden goes down? You know, coronavirus spreads worldwide, and you know the market goes down, or whatever happens. You know, big recession economy, and you're the last guy that, you know, you bought 10 of these things at $1,700 a piece, and now all of a sudden they're worth $1,200. I think it's going to happen to a lot of people. I'm not saying it's going to be that drastic, but I think there's going to be a lot of that goes on.
Well, I think the hobby, I don't know that the hobby has changed as much as just like the amount of money, the level of money that people are paying for these cards. Because like we could look back to 1990, Upper Deck, Kevin Moss, right?
Absolutely.
If you know, back then people were paying what, $5-6 for those cards, right? I mean, they're worth nothing now, absolutely nothing. But $5 or $6, you could, that kind of loss, no big deal. Some of these newer prospects, people are paying $500 to $1,000 for. Now, if those go to zero, we're talking about, a lot bigger chunk of money. So it's a little, you can't take too many hits like that.
There's no, you're absolutely spot on. And that's exactly what I'm talking about is you take what we learned, boom and bust from the 80s to 90s with the market, and you multiply it times how much more everything costs. I mean, you're talking hundreds of millions of dollars on, total that's in the market. Well, if you see a 30% reduction in that, I mean, that's huge. I mean, huge amounts of money. But we'll see. We'll see what happens moving forward. I don't think it's going to happen anytime. I don't think it's like one of these things that's going to happen soon. I don't think it's something that's guaranteed to happen. But at some point in time, I think that incline is going to stop going. You're going to see a level off. I think it's going to happen for sure.
This we'll kind of finish on this right here. If there's somebody that's new into this hobby, just like in the last year or so, and they're just coming in, and let's say they've got a fair amount of money that they're going to play with, what would be your best advice to them?
First off, think long and hard about on which players you're collecting or buying, and I would steer them towards the big cards of the best players. For what I mean by that is don't go buy – if you are going to buy newer players, buy just the best guys and buy their best cards. Don't buy the stuff like – don't buy select. Go ahead and spend the extra money and get Prism. You know what I mean? I think just look at the trends. But my advice would – go back and look at the guys who are at the tail end of their careers or guys that already finished Jordan, some of these guys. Buy those guys and buy their best cards, and stay away from this modern Panini stuff because it's a roller coaster. And unless you're willing to watch the market all the time and sell when you think it's at its peak and turn around and buy other stuff at its lowest and just keep doing that, and you're always going to be churning through cards. I don't like doing that. I'd say stay away from that. Stay with the consistent stuff that's had a good track record and steer away from the Panini stuff. That'd be my advice.
Pedigree is a big
pedigree. Thing. Yeah, pedigree for sure. And now on the flip side, would I tell somebody, look, they say, oh, I don't care about those players that used to play all the time. I never got to watch those guys. I understand that. I get that. Go buy like 2012 Prism Golds if you can afford one, if you can find the best players. It don't even have to be the rookies, something like that I think long term you can kind of project out as very safe. Don't go buy, I'm trying to think of, don't go buy Impeccable, one of these other ones that's kind of came along, that it's not your top tier product for sure.
Okay, and that's kind of like the advice for somebody like, let's say, that's coming in, they've got money to spend, they're wanting to get after it. What would you say to just like an average person that's just coming back in that just wants to collect just for fun? What would your advice be for them?
Depends on if they're wanting Panini or older stuff. I think if they're, I think I'd look at the market, and if I just wanted to collect, I think I would look at something that I thought was maybe not the best, maybe not the best, most rare card, but like I'll use 2012 Prism as the example because that's what we were just talking about. Instead of maybe going and buying the golds that are super expensive, go buy the base or the greens. Work on something like that. That's an iconic set. You're not going to spend your money in a bad way on those. To me, I mean, I could be wrong. I could be wrong. But if I was that person, I'd stay away from game used and autos, and I would stick to the better looking base cards and parallels of those base cards.
Yeah,
because those are always pretty steady and consistent to me. Overall, I never see big fluctuations with those, like in a downturn, in a downward spiral, anyways.
Yeah,
I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I would say for the person, like let's say if you want to come in and you're you've got money to spend and you're wanting to do some flipping, some investing, stuff like that. So you like the hobby, but you do see the financial aspects of it as well. Like, I think pedigree is huge, like you talked about. Player selection is huge. Like, don't be like hoarding, thousands of no-name prospect that no one's heard of, thinking, oh man, maybe he'll make it big someday. I wouldn't do that stuff. I mean, because you're going to lose 99.9% of the time.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things that I see from newer people, and this has been just like a more recent thing, like I would say within the last year, and it's kind of bugging me, is I hate to see new people that are coming into the hobby and they're paying people for their advice on like what player, they're basically paying people like it's some kind of like service. And I mean, like, you've seen this stuff as well.
Oh yeah. I totally agree. Dear God, new collectors, shoot me a message. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. Blowout. If you just need advice, I've helped hundreds and thousands of collectors. I don't even know how many, tons of collectors over the years. I've had a lot of people hit me up. I don't charge you for that. I'm not going to tell you to do something crazy, and you're right. Don't pay for that stuff. Be cautious who you deal with in general. There's some shady people out there. There really are. I mean,
because this may be a spoiler, but a lot of those people that are charging you for that stuff, guess what? They're new too. They came. hey, at the same time, those guys have a great business model. If they can get somebody to pay for it. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that some of these people don't know what they're doing, but it's free. Like, I mean, you don't have to pay for that stuff, is all I'm saying.
It's free. Watch YouTube videos. Go on Blowout and just search old threads, and there's a ton of this stuff out there. Instagram, just study it. I mean, I'm not gonna say I'm an expert. When it comes to 90s stuff, I'm pretty sharp. I know that stuff pretty well. I still have to study it and learn it. I'll give you a great example, Andy. I got the best example ever. How in the world I didn't know about this until today, and how long have you known me to collect 90s baseball, basketball, that stuff? So I'm searching eBay today, and I look for Skybox Star Rubies, right? And I see a Torrey Hunter, the one that I've always seen, the one number to 50. So I see it. I put it on my watch list. I go a little bit down farther. I see another Torrey Hunter that's a different picture. It's a Star Rubies. I look at it. There's a short print version, I guess, of the rookies from 99 that are Star Rubies number to 15. There you go. How long have I collected this crap? And it just baffled the heck out of me that I went 20 years these have been out, and I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is like there's always something to learn, and that's why I like making videos like this where I don't even think of it as giving people advice. Like, I just like to get people thinking about stuff because I want them to do their own research. Like, don't buy what I tell you what to buy. Don't buy what anybody tells you what to buy. Do the research. Like, you listen to different people, and then you kind of like do your own research and then make your own decisions, because like, I mean, that's just the way that I think it should be done.
Buy what you like. Buy what you like. If you're buying that rookie because you think he's going to be the next Michael Jordan, he's not. Chances are he's not. Don't do it because you think that's where he's headed. If you like that player, if you went to college at Duke and you were there the same time Zion was there last year and blah 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 blah, and you want to buy Zion, no problem. Buy Zion. And I'm not saying don't buy Zion because he's good, but he's not the next Michael Jordan. He's not the next LeBron James. He may not ever be that, but be cautious what you buy. Don't buy it based on what you think they are or what might happen. Buy what you like, because at the end of the day, you might get stuck with that.
Yeah, and
point blank.
like you said, he's not going to be anybody else. He's going to be the first Zion Williamson. So
Sure. And I just used him as an example. He's probably a bad example because he is elite, but just be cautious what you buy, and that you can spend your money very poorly in this hobby. I mean, real quick.
We've all done it.
I've done it big time. I mean, we bought SP Legendary Cut hot packs one time.
Yeah.
That's probably the worst money I think maybe we've ever spent, but you think about how bad you can spend your money, and hey, you know what? There are so many people out there ready to take it.
Yeah.
And whether there's some shady people out there. There's good people that they're trying to get rid of cards that they've seen the maximum. They've already seen the spike in the card. They're selling at the maximum. You just got to, like you said, you got to do some research and learn to read those things, because it can be rough. It can be rough. You can lose everything you invest real quick.
For sure. So you got anything you want to say here before we end?
Just one a couple quick things. Not to get too far off, and we were talking about it before we came on. Is like I mentioned earlier, I'm kind of moving back to doing some baseball, 90s baseball and stuff, and after collecting Grant Hill all these years and doing that, I'm so sick of game use cards, patch cards, and having all these different sizes of one touches and all this crap, that I'm only buying just regular thickness cards, no autos, no patches, anything like that. And I'm putting everything in a Z-Folio binder, from BCW, and I can flip through them and enjoy them. And that's kind of what I'm going back to. And then probably the last thing I'll add is I tried to talk you into it today to take on the mammoth task of collecting a player of 1998 Topps Tech. And Andy replies and tells me, no, he's got to watch from the sidelines. So I bought my first rarish one today. I'm kind of nervous about naming the player because I don't want people to go buy them and try to take them from. But if they do that, I'm just going to let them go high prices anyways. But so I bought a Scott Rowland tonight, and that's kind of the player I picked. That's a mammoth task. So if you have any 1998 Topps Tech Scott Rowlands, I'm your guy right now. Send them my way, because
I'm way too obsessive compulsive to do something like that. I would try to buy all of them within a month.
Can't find them all in a month. That's the problem.
I mean, staying up night and day looking though.
I think there's 180 if I remember right. I could be wrong on that. I'm kind of doing some research of each player between the diffractors and just the base. And I think I ran a search for Scott Rowland on eBay and check out my cards, and I think I found 3 of the variations.
Yeah, see.
3.
I know me. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
I thought about trying to do one of the super high, like Griffey, and I looked, and some of his more rare ones, I mean, they bring $350, $400, $500. I said, nah, I'm going to stay away from that. But so anyway, I just wanted to add that hey, look, even though I've been collecting 90s for a long time, that's a set. I used to have a few of them in the early 2000s. I really thought they were nice looking. I used to buy boxes of those for $50. Busted a few of them. I didn't know what any of the rare ones were. I probably sold lots of them on eBay for $10, So it's kind of fun to go back and research something that I should probably know more about. I mean, I know enough to get started, but going back and kind of looking and researching, that's what I love about collecting and hobbies. And you really never know everything. I mean, you really don't. You might think you do, but like I said, I know 90s pretty intensely, and I still learn. It's a lot of fun.
There's too much out there to know everything.
Yeah, hell yeah, there is. There's a lot. Especially you start getting into that weird era where you had the late 2000s and Panini was coming in, and you had Topps and Upper Deck was going out. And there's a lot right there in some of those years where they would try to put all their stuff in there for a while, and you'd get some weird variations. I know Donruss Leaf Playoff was notorious for this in 05. They loaded up some of those products, and there are so many variations of different ones. And I can't keep up with all that crap. There's just too much of it.
So before we go here, tell people where they can find these videos that you're going to be making about this new endeavor.
It'll be on my YouTube channel. It's Double X the Beast. It's also the same place you can go for free advice if you need it.
Yeah, we're not charging anything. Not that anybody would pay us.
Not that anybody would pay us. But I will at least keep you from making a really bad decision. If it comes down to if you're not sure if it's a bad decision, send me a message. I will tell you, no, don't do that, or okay, that's okay. Yeah, I mean, I will do that for you.
Yeah, and that's a great thing too. Is like I'm always open to questions from people that are new to the hobby. That sometimes people are afraid to ask questions. They're afraid they're going to sound dumb. We all ask those dumb questions when we first started off too. So they don't sound dumb to us.
No, they don't. And I will say there's probably one person out there that I think probably should charge for their services. He might do it. I don't think he does. That's Roger Maris, Brendan. You guys probably see him on Blowout.
Oh yeah,
man, he is great at detecting fakes. He's not going to tell you what he catches on it because he doesn't want people duplicating that. And I can catch 80% of them, but he's good at it. He catches a lot. If you came down to a high-end Jordan card and he said, yeah, I need $50 to look at paying. Trust me, if you're looking at a precious metal gems of Jordan, you're fixing to drop 30, 40 grand on, and he says $50 or whatever, pay somebody like that, pay them. It's worth it. Somebody that's just giving you advice on what to collect, nah, forget it.
He's not going to charge you anyways, right?
He might. I'm not going to say he's not. I mean, I don't think he does. He's an awesome guy. He's really good about helping people, but guys like that have expertise and can offer that. I have no problem with that.
Yeah. All right. Well, that seems like a good place to end. This was fun looking back at that stuff and, kind of seeing where the market's at, where it's kind of trying to predict, where it's going, what all's going on. It's always fun to look at this stuff.
It's very interesting. The market's got a crazy place right now, and baseball season's just starting. I think some of these prospects, we may see it. Keep going.
So I'm going to be looking forward to seeing your videos on your new endeavor into the 90s baseball.
Well, you've seen, without me sharing what they are, I'll show them, but when they come in. But I've got some pretty nice stuff coming in. Nothing crazy. That's the great thing about it. I can go spend a couple $100 and get a really awesome card in baseball. Where basketball, it gets me it doesn't even get me a common PMG red.
Right. Oh yeah. No.
But I've got a pretty awesome masterpiece coming in. I've got some cool stuff coming in. So very excited about it.
All right. Well, thanks everybody that hung in, stayed with us this long, and we will catch you guys next time.
Later.